Peace, family. It's Bakari Lumumba back once again, the progenitor of LumumbaSpeaks.com, a black empowerment initiative where we believe we could gain a competitive advantage by always betting on black. And that competitive advantage, we believe, is not simply structured here limited to the shores of North America or to the death and decadence of the Western diaspora, but globally, in which if we bet on ourselves, we can restore ourselves to our traditional greatness as a free, proud, and productive African people. Back once again with another video. Unfortunately, this video, we're discussing the white vigilantism, and unfortunately, as many of you may be aware, the trial of Ahmaud Arbery is taking place. This is a brother, 25-year-old brother, who unfortunately was killed almost 2 years ago in February of 2020 in Glenn County, Georgia. 25 years old, former high school standout football player, former college student, who was killed by a father, son, and of course neighbor. And so the trial is taking place now. Just a little background. Glenn County is, if I could look at my notes here, is 25% African American. However, the jury pool is 11 people white, 1 black. And so, of course, this is something that the judge even mentioned, that this seems to be some racial discrimination, of course, in the jury pool. Also, just want to state a quick tidbit that I put in there, that it's very important that you should register to vote. I don't believe that voting is a panacea. I don't believe that it's an end-all be-all. I don't even believe that voting is one of the most important aspects of African Americans engaging in the political process. However, it's very important that if you're going to serve on a jury, particularly in terms of felony cases, you have to be a registered juror in your county that you live in. So if you want to serve on a jury, and many people, we've always say, I want to get out of jury duty. We can remember even TV shows like Martin, where they were trying to get out of jury duty. However, in a case like this, we need to be engaging in jury duty. And so it's very important that you understand, in order to be able to serve on a jury, you have to be a registered voter. Also, we're talking about white vigilantism, right? I think it's also important that we understand that this whole idea, I put on the cover picture of Batman, right? Batman is known as a vigilante. He is a white man, fictional white man, but I believe it represents something much deeper. And I think when we talk about superheroes, I know there's a lot of fanfare for Black Panther. Can't wait for Black Panther 2 to come out. And of course, we want to give our praise to the family of our esteemed ancestor, the brother that played Black Panther, Chadwick Boseman, HBCU alum. But I think it's very important that we also understand when we talk about superheroes, overwhelmingly superheroes have always been white. And I believe that's part of the white man and his wife's fascination with wanting to rule the world. Batman, Superman, Silver Surfer, X-Men, so on and so forth. It's all about them wanting to do what? Rule the world. So we have to understand that. So this whole idea of vigilantism, and as you study the case, they actually worked, and oftentimes historically, when African Americans were the victims of white vigilantism or extrajudicial violence, the vigilantes were working at the behest of the criminal justice system, right? Or the just us system, as we like to say. For example, oftentimes, particularly after Reconstruction, right? When we talk about the first Nadir, where there was a complete loss in terms of African Americans' rights after Reconstruction, when the troops left the South, and of course there was a rise in the Ku Klux Klan and white supremacy and legalized racial discrimination. What we find historically for African Americans, that if there's a real or perceived progress for Black people in America, it's followed by a period of racial retrenchment. As I just stated, after Reconstruction, you had the rise of Jim Crow. After the Civil Rights Black Power movement, you have Nixon law and order. After the historic, election of Barack Obama as the nation's first Black president, then what do we have? We have this rise in white vigilantism and extrajudicial killings. And so part of this whole idea of white vigilantism is that oftentimes they're working at the behest of the white power structure, particularly the criminal justice system. For example, in this case, after the father, George McMichael, Travis McMichael, and of course their neighbor, William Bryan, killed our brother, what did they do? They showed the police officer the video on their phone. The officer said, hey, you're good to go. And of course, they weren't arrested later until there was public outrage. So very important that we understand this. And I think also, people that know me, is I'm solution oriented. So I think that number one, when we talk about how do we solve these issues, right? As I stated before, we've talked about extrajudicial violence. I've oftentimes advocated that, hey, one of the things that Black people can do is create their own municipality where we are the mayors, we are the city commissioners, and we are the police force. That is one issue, right? We understand that there are many The majority of black counties and municipalities in America, but I would argue that those places are representative of Negroville, meaning that these individuals aren't engaged in any type of black intellectual thought that's rooted in what? Forwarding the black race, right? But oftentimes engage at the same time. They may have money, may be a means, but they engage in the same racially disempowering, self-defeating, and self-destructive behavior that we see in our inner cities. So we want to be to change that, right? And if possible, not just love and worship a fictionalized ideal of a Wakanda, but make that Wakanda, that heaven on earth, right here for black people. But in terms of this issue of white vigilantism, I did 6 years in the military, Army. And one of the things that when we were in the forward area, we were always taught you need to have a battle buddy. And where your battle buddy goes, you go. If you're going to go to relieve yourself, your battle buddy's going to watch your six. And I think that we're in a time right now where we need to have the same mindset. And many people may say, yeah, I'm a grown man. I don't need to be always going somewhere with someone to have watch my back. I understand that. I don't think that's practical. Many people have families, careers, so on and so forth, have a lot going on. So you can't do that. What I do think is practical is that battle buddy can be a firearm. I'm a legal gun owner. I believe in the Second Amendment. I know there's literature out there where many people argue that the Second Amendment was created as a manner to actually deny African Americans the rights. Right, we know there were black codes back in the 16th and 17th century that prevented African Americans from owning firearms, and as a result, this is a way to actually control us. We know the late great Hajj Malik El Shabazz, our esteemed ancestor, master teacher, and of course Pan-Africanists taught us that one of the ways that you enslave a people, one of the ways that you discriminate against people, one of the ways that you control the people is by taking away their ability to defend themselves. And so I'm a huge advocate of the Second Amendment. I believe in the teachings of Robert Williams, who created who was, of course, a president of the NAACP chapter in North Carolina, the Deacons for Defense, and of course, we all know about the Black Panthers, to understand the importance of self-defense, right? We know the 3 N's of Black Power is what? Self-respect, self-defense, and self-determination. And we have to advocate and practice black people legally owning firearms. We're not talking about the Pookies and Ray Rays, the LaQuishas of the world that want to go around killing our own kind. We know that when we talk about restoring ourselves to our traditional greatness, we have an internal and external enemy. The external enemy is racism, white supremacy, anti-black racism, discrimination, etc. But the internal enemy is oftentimes what the unproductive, racially disempowering, self-destructive, and self-defeating manners in which we live our own lives. We're not talking about those type of individuals owning firearms, but we're talking about individuals who are vigilant, people who are black-minded, individuals who want the black race and black people as a whole to progress. And in doing so, we have to understand that battle buddy, as 50 Cent said in one of his earlier songs, needs to be our buddy. Not our buddy is that what you hold on your hip. And this is not something that's just simply theoretical for me. I know there's been some scholars who would say, well, I just think black people should go out and get a card. Absolutely not. You need to have that thing on you, as they say in the hood, right? And you need to know how to use it. I just took my daughter to the range with me for the first time this past weekend. Taught her gun safety, how to use a firearm, how to aim, how to prepare for the recoil. Very important, because we know we're in a situation where, unfortunately, as the brother said in the movie, it's missing me right now, but Minister Society, there's a hunt going on, and we're the prey. So we have to prepare for these type of things. I think it's very important that the battle buddy system needs to be us legally carrying a firearm. I don't know if it's 9mm or 22 or even a shotgun, whatever, but we need to understand that we are in a situation in which we are being attacked. And we're not being attacked because we're being accused of a crime, as they try to say with the Ahmaud Arbery case, because we know that there were numerous individuals running through the neighborhood, jogging, trying to stay fit, live a healthy lifestyle, and they would run through this home that was being built. But this is something that the defense isn't trying to release to the press, or even for that matter, the jurors that are going to actually be hearing the case. But I think it's very important that we understand that racism, and I mentioned this to a couple of brothers at the gym, is a team sport. So what do you mean by that? Because the conversation came up, can black people be racist? And of course, I posted a video on this last week where Dr. Joyce DeGruy was discussing this. And I said, absolutely not. Can black people be prejudiced? Absolutely. Can black people engage in bigoted type behavior? Absolutely. But it takes power plus prejudice to be racist, according to our esteemed ancestor, Dr. Khalid Muhammad. And when I always ask the question, tell me how black racism adversely affects white people as a group. No one could give me an answer, because it takes power plus prejudice. It takes certain power, right, to be able to show on a police officer on your phone, hey, we attacked this guy. And of course, what Gregory McMichael was trying to say is we were trying to invoke a citizen's arrest. Right, he was running through the neighborhood, working out, getting his cardio in, and they say, "Hey, we want to talk to you," and then they jump out the truck with a shotgun. And no one's going to want to talk to anyone in a situation like that. You're going to try to defend yourself or get away. And so he really was in a situation. But Ahmaud Arbery was in a situation in which, do I run and risk getting shot in the back, or do I try to fight these individuals that I believe are going to do me harm? So I think it's very important that we understand. I'm just going to wrap this up because, like I said, we always are being solution oriented. We talk about white vigilantism. The battle buddy system, I think, is very important, right? And if we're unable to go somewhere if we are going somewhere by ourselves, we need to make sure that we are invoking our Second Amendment right, which is, of course, the right to bear arms. So that's all we have for now. Once again, make sure you hit the like and subscribe button. I'm out. Peace.